Alright everyone, hello GRM world. My name is Poet, I've got a decent hat. To my right is a rapper that I admire. Not just for his art in rapping, but his message as well. I feel it's a little bit more deeper than half of the music you hear nowadays. I'm with Joey Bada.
Peace, brother.
Love the watch, man. My watch is like £10, but we're not going to get into that.
Thank you.
No,
your watch better than mine.
Oh, please, man. You don't have to lie in front of the camera, man.
Nah, there's no lie. What we said, we keep it 100, right?
Yeah, we keep it at 100, and this was about 100, so...
This was about 100 as well. It's a Nixon, not a Rolex.
Keeping it Triller. Triller!
No.
Alright, that's realer than brown bread. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. So, my little brother is a massive fan of you. I brought him today. He's a massive fan of you, and he always talks about you, and then GRM said, yo, we're going to talk to Joey Bada next week. And I was like, you know what? My brother plays you all the time. I didn't pay enough attention to the situation. Before I talk to this guy, I need to know enough about him, so when I sit down with him, it's a real conversation. I think to myself, I can listen to the music, but I feel like I want to hear everything outside of the music, so I started watching some interviews with you. And there's one interview I watched with you on Hot 97 with Rosenberg, and Rosenberg's a man that, you know, I listen to what he's got to say, and you said something and it resonated with me, and it's mad because you're 20 years old. And the mentality you have for a 20-year-old, it didn't make sense to me. It was so much more mature than I anticipated. You spoke about a song called Curry Chicken.
Right.
And you were talking about the relationship you have with your mum, and there was one line in Curry Chicken, and I was just like, what's going on, bruv? Like, how can somebody have this level of maturity for 20 years of living? And you said there's worse things, you said, says worse things, worse, I could be stealing your purse. And I was just thinking to myself, alright, worse things worse, I could be stealing your purse. Sometimes it's the most simple lines that have the biggest effect on me. So the fact that you say that lets me know that you're in an environment where that is normal. Yeah. So how can you be, put it this way, how can you be in a room of criminals and remain a saint?
I mean, I never had a criminal drive to begin with, you know? I never wanted to steal. I never wanted to, yeah. You know, like, I stole before, of course. We all guilty of stealing.
I don't know who's watching.
I thought we keep it on.
Oh, we keep it on. Yeah, man. Yeah, I never stole.
But yeah, you know, shit, I'm not really sure. I mean, that's probably the thing is, I probably never had to surround myself in a room full of criminals, you know? That's probably the main important thing, is who you surround yourself with. Maybe if I did surround myself with criminals all day long, then I would be one. Sometimes
we're products of our environment.
Exactly.
Occasionally. And
that's what I mean.
So, in your direct contact, you may not have been around it, but within that interview, I heard you saying, you know, you've lost people, there's people that, those things like, you spoke about Bobby Schmurder and similar situations that are happening on your block. How do you, as 20 years old, how do you, as 20 years old of living, develop the maturity state to say, you know what, I don't want to be doing that. I think there's a greater purpose that I have. I'm going over there. And dedicate yourself to a situation where in which now, you know, you're in England, touring.
Right.
And there's certain people at your age who are still in New York trying to figure out what they're doing with their life. How do you separate yourself mentally?
I mean, it starts off from, you know, the way I was brought up.
Okay.
So I gotta go back to my parents, you know, my mom and my dad. And, you know, I believe they did a remarkable job with just, you know, keeping my head above water and keeping me on the right path, you know. So after I got to a certain age, you know, I pretty much absorbed that in my brain. So, you know, stay away from certain things and not do certain things. But once you get older and stuff, you start becoming a teenager, you want to, like, you know, make your own bread so you could buy things that you want and stuff like that. So, you know, that's pretty much where people usually go down the wrong path. But I decided to just, you know, move smart or, you know, take a different approach. Like, I was the only child, first of all.
Okay, so, yeah, I was there for a little bit as well, crying for bad things.
For a very long time, like, you know, ever since a young child, I had to learn how to do a lot of things for myself.
Yes.
But, you know, that only gave me space to grow into the, you know, the person that I am today. You know, it gave me more time. So at an earlier age than most people, I learned already what I wanted to do.
So you was making decisions based upon what you wanted to do purely because you was an only child?
Because I was always surrounded by myself.
Saying that's kind of interesting because you was born in 95.
Yeah.
So around 95, I was well in my life and I was into R&B hard. I'm into Total, I'm into Escape, loved R&B. Was a hip hop fan, but loved R&B. But then when the cross collaborations come in, so when Diddy started doing the Total thing, and then you got Biggie featuring on them tracks, and you got Mace featuring on Total tracks, I was just like, you know what, hip hop actually cold. But the hip hop I was into was glossy hip hop. So I wanted to see man in the biggest whips with the nicest watches and so on and so forth. Now, being a 90s baby, I think that just got worse and worse and worse with the acts coming out.
Right.
Now, I associate your music with early hip-hop because I think the first CD my older sister bought me and said to me, no, this is what you should be listening to, was Method Man featuring Mary J. Blige, and it was All I Need. When I heard that, I was like, I'm actually going to listen to this in 10, 15 years' time because the messaging is still going to be the same. Now, you're one of the few people I can say that about now. But you're surrounded in New York now. When I think of New York, I think of Frenchie, I think of Loso, I think of all of these people that are so glossy. What made you say, you know what, I'm just going to do this music, which may not be popping in the sense of like the Diddy's, like the Losos, but I'm going to be true to myself. What makes you make them decisions as well?
So, you know, there was a point in hip-hop, like, you know, like you said, you made a good point. As the acts kept coming out, you know, hip-hop started getting glossier and glossier.
Mad glossy.
So, you know, there was a point in just my life where I realized, like, yo, like, hip-hop, it just ain't about shit right now. And that was like around 2011, 2012. So what we decided, and I say we, being like Pro Ever, like, you know, the whole squad, what we decided is that, you know, we would become the change that we wanted to see.
I heard you say that. That's a powerful line. Powerful line.
So, and another thing is, like, you know, when you got a whole bunch of people doing the same thing, you know, you could, it's two options. You could either follow and fit in, or
you can lead.
Like, you know, lead, or, you know, just do something different. Follow your own way. And, you know, that I was always big on that, just going my own way. Like, you feel me? I'm going to just do this because I was, like I said, I was already used to doing things on my own. So I never had to follow a group of individuals. It was like, all right, like, whatever. I'll just
do my own thing.
Write some raps.
Now, where your rap is conscious and where your rap, like, artistically, I heard, I think it was Rosenberg saying something about using the third eye. And I was like, I think that's an important thing. Sometimes it's about the obvious statement, mean like so much that statement I brought up in Curry Chicken. You can take it for what it is, or you can actually look at it deeper than what it is. Like it's stemming back from a lifestyle, your surroundings, so on and so
I like
forth.
the way you looked at it, because when you said it, I'm like, that's a simple line. But then you explained it.
It's
like,
mad. Like I said, it resonates with me. I'm thinking to myself, right, I could have done that, but obviously I was too skinny, and the beatings that my mum would have given me would have made me look fatter than what I am. And on top of that, it's not you, do you know what I mean? You're not going to adapt to your surroundings, you're going to adapt to your soul, who you are.
Exactly.
And you said something that was so mad. You said, I don't want my younger brother, my cousin, so on and so forth, listening to Coco. And I was like, if that song pops off in the club, I'm still going to go mad.
Yeah, same here. I mean,
but why don't you want your younger brothers and so on listening to Coco? When you say listening to it, do you mean religiously? Do you mean, like, in what sense did you mean when you said that?
So it's deeper than just, you know, listening, because kids, like, you remember when we was kids, we heard everything.
Oh, yeah.
You feel me? Like,
definitely
we
heard
everything, we seen everything. So, like, you know, what I really mean is that, like, you know, that's one of the songs that's, well, you know, it's kind of fading out now, but it's one of those songs that's like, you know, pushed into the main rotation of, you know, music or whatever. And
as a representation to a certain extent.
And to me, music is a psychological thing. Well, not a psychological thing, but it has psychological effects on you. So, you know, the music that you listen to, it really, you know, taints the person that you are.
It affects your subconscious, you believe?
I believe that, you know, because there was even this quote Jimi Hendrix said. Was it Jimi Hendrix? It was somebody like that. But once you have someone, like, you know, once someone is a fan of your music, it's crazy because you have so much power that you can whisper anything you want into their subconscious.
It's mad. So basically, when someone's a fan of your work, you can dictate their emotions, you can dictate their points of view and so on and so on.
You can put anything into their head.
So you feel like with that responsibility, you need to be using it more effectively.
I mean, I just feel like we need to just be more aware, like, as a whole, you know? Like, I'm not mad at Coco, like you said. Like, if that should come on the club,
getting mad.
I'm getting mad, too.
I'm not in love with the Coco, but...
I'm not in love with the Coco.
No,
I'm in love with the dope smoke, you feel me? Not the Coco, but, you know... And I just feel like there needs to be balance. And we as a whole need to understand that more.
Is there no balance now?
I mean, there's an imbalance.
Yeah, do you know why I agree with you?
But, you know, it's all.
Another point you made, and I watched that interview back probably 3-4 times. Because out of all the interviews I watched, to me that was the one that I was like, right, there was too many points being made. I was like, wait, this is a cool conversation. I kind of wish I was in the room at the time.
Right.
And it was making reference to, and I want to touch on the new song that you got called Teach Me, because I mean, first of all, you used an individual that is known for house music. She's a Canadian girl called, Kiesza. I play her a lot on Rinse FM, and I play a song with Jack Q called Take You, and it's a really house sound. So the fact that you've done a collaboration, I found mad. I was like, wow, I didn't even think like Joey might even listen to that brand of music. We'll touch on that in a minute, but it was the Kendrick Lamar song, I Love Myself. First heard it, I said, what's going on, Kendrick? When I listened to it over again, played it to my mum, she told me about the sample. I was like, whoa, he's actually taking it back to let people understand what the music's really, really about.
Yeah.
That's where the balance, I feel, is what you said, there's an imbalance, because Coco will get so much more because it's easy listening. It's just like, boom, as soon as you hear it, you can sing along.
Music.
How is that going to change though, Joey? Like, how is it going to change?
It's going to change. I got faith. I'm here. Kendrick is here. J. Cole is here. You feel me? It's a new generation emerging, and with us three, we're just inspiring this whole generation. A whole league of new artists is going to come just based off of this time period right here. And it's really interesting because, even me, I'm one of those artists that recently just made it. Like, after seeing, Kendrick and J. Cole, like, doing their thing and being on the other side of the spectrum, like, seeing them on the tour buses and shit, and me being, like, the kid watching them. Now I'm on that side. Yeah. So I can imagine with just, the people I inspire, they inspired me, like, you feel me? So I can imagine what it's going to bring forth, it's going to be nothing but good things, and, we're going to restore that balance, for sure.
The lead single is called Teach Me. How did that collaboration come about, man? Because, like I said, she's known for house music. This is a Canadian girl known for house music. Right. You're known for making real, authentic hip-hop. How did that become like a collab? How did you even look at her and say, you know what, she'll sound sick on one of my joints?
Alright, so I basically had the song before I even knew who Kiesza was.
Okay.
Does that fuck your head up a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. Because it's like, oh my God. Because then even then, when I hear Kiesza, it's so much energy on her music.
Right.
And there's so much, I'm just like, bro, Kiesza, like, she doesn't really have a face in the sense of her music is that house type of music. House music doesn't really have a face, it's just a sound. And how do you say, yep, boom, Kiesza, I'm using you, G? Alright,
so, like I said, I had this song way before I even knew about Kiesza, knew who she was, or even heard any of her music. And, so my boy, Chuck Strangers.
Okay.
And he's one of my main producers, my in-house producers. He made the beat. And then, one night he pretty much just said, yo, I'm about to send you some weird shit. And he sent me 2 beats. Yeah. He sent me the beat for Teach Me and the beat for Escape 120.
Okay.
And he sent those, and I was like, yo, bro, I love these shits. And he was like, it's funny, I was never going to send you those beats. I never thought you'd like them. And I instantly sent them back, like just a voice memo of the song ideas that I had. So the way Teach Me came about, it was like...
It was always there, but it wasn't there.
Yeah, it was just a beat, it was just a beat or whatever. So dancing has been a part of my life, like, been a big part of my life.
You're from the Caribbean?
Exactly. You see, my brother.
This is how I can feel it. So I'm just hoping if I say the next country, you're from Jamaica?
My dad's side is from Jamaica. My mom's
side.
My mom's side from St. Lucia.
Yeah.
So like, dancing was something that we used to do as like when we were younger kids.
Of course.
We used to dance a lot to stay out of trouble. Yeah. We had dance crews and we used to battle. It was like pretty much the premature stage for all of these kids out of Brooklyn. Like, right before we made it to like our mid-teens and older teens, like, we was like, pre-teens, and that's what the focus was. We used to get out of school and go to the other side of Brooklyn to dance. You feel me?
Mad.
Yeah, and it was a really big part of my life for a really long time, probably just until I got to high school, I started like, just falling back on it. So, when I heard that song, when I heard the beat or whatever, it was reminiscent of that feel, it kind of had like, the drum and bass, and you could do the same type of dance to it, the same type of Caribbean dance or whatever. So
Tom, you on the dancing team?
Yeah, man.
Man like Tom, God.
Yeah, so pretty much one night I was kicking it with a homegirl of mine, and we just chilling, listening to music, and then, you know, the beat comes on, and she's like, yo, what is this? I was like, this beat that Chuck made for me or whatever. It's funky, right? Whatever. So she get up and she start dancing, and then she's like, yo, dance with me and stuff. So we just dancing to the beat, and then, like, you know, pretty much the next day, the song just came to me. And then, you know,
the rest is history type of thing, and now you've got that as the lead single. Alright, well, boy, it is a pleasure to talk to you, man. It's nice to know similar thought patterns from different countries, you know. Now I'm going to ask you some questions. All the answers are about you, though. But they're mad questions. But all the answers are about you.
Alright.
I hope that makes sense.
I'm trying to make sense.
So first of all, I need the name of the Italian boy in the hit television series based in New York about 6 friends.
Wait, come again?
I need the name of the Italian boy
Yeah.
in the hit television series based in New York about 6 friends.
I have no idea. I don't watch television.
Think. Friends, 6 boys.
Friends?
What's the guy's name? The Italian boy. 3 girls, 3 boys, 1 boy's names.
I don't know his name.
He named Joey.
His name's Joey?
Next question, I'll break it down. Now, the answer's broken down into 2 different things. So the first part of the answer is, the question is, the first name is a man.
Okay.
The first part of the name is a guy who wore a leather jacket, white tee, in a car park, dancing around, holding his crutch, saying, you know I'm...
Badass.
And the last one, because he got that straight away, the last one, again, it's all about you, my bro. The first part of this answer is one of the 4 seasons you associate with hot weather.
Wait, what? Come again?
The first part, you're thinking, you got to think about the 4 seasons, and this season, particular seasons, is associated with hot weather, festivals.
Okay, summertime.
Summer. And the next one is the opposite of day.
Opposite of day.
Yeah.
Night.
Summer nights, my GG. You know about his project. We're keeping this all about you, Joey. Yeah. Look, man, I'd like to thank Joey for his time. My name is Poet. That was GRM. And the guy behind the camera is called Tom. He was dancing.
Peace.